Hello, this is Reverend Dore teaching the science of mind from Sarasota, Florida. If you like what you hear on this podcast and you want to take classes in it or you want to learn more about it or go to one of our services, look for the Centers for Spiritual Living. That's what our churches are called. And they're in almost every state. I think we're in all 50 states. And we're in about 40, 50 foreign countries. So there should be one not too far from you. And if you're a long way from it, they do offer distance learning classes through the internet and through CD learning. So look them up go online to centersofspiritualliving.org and you can see a directory and find the one you like. All right. Today we're going to talk about when things end, saying goodbye gracefully. You know, my friends, it seems to me that one of the hardest things to do is to say goodbye to a loved one or to a way of life that you've enjoyed and loved for a long time. Let's imagine that you lived in San Diego, California, had a wonderful home, a lovely home, a great family, and really enjoyed your life. Seemingly overnight, everything changed. Your marriage ended, children went with the other parent, and you were transferred to Seattle. From home, spouse, children, beaches, sunshine, blue skies, you were transported to endless drizzle, lots of good coffee, but a small apartment and loneliness. Wow, that's a huge transformation of anybody's life, isn't it? How do you handle such a sea change of life gracefully and without permanent sorrow and bitterness? Yes, it can be done. Now, here are 5 steps of letting go and saying goodbye gracefully. Listen carefully now. Number 1, realization. We must realize that a change has occurred and that we must let go of what was. We need to get out of denial and realize that things have changed and they're not going back quite the way they were. Even if you tried to put it back together, it wouldn't be just the way it was, would it? Nor should they. This happens for a reason that will be clear to us as we go through the 5 steps. Number 2, acceptance. We have a choice. We can choose to stare at the closed door of the old life and grieve, or we can turn away and look at the new door ahead of us with eager anticipation. You know, it's really our choice. We're always a choice. Once we make this choice, we begin to understand that change is really the only constant. All growth comes from change. Things that don't evolve and change, they die. Of course, we may be sad to lose the things we love so much. It sure happened to me, and I know I was. But we begin to realize that there is so much more ahead if we will just begin the journey toward the new. You cannot steer a boat by looking at the wake. You must turn around, face forward, and be open to the unopened gifts that lie ahead. Step number 3, non-resistance. We must be able to say that I and my little wounded ego will surrender to a much higher power that sees the big picture, knows what's ahead, and can see the wonders before me, even if I and my grief do not. I must trust God and divine law and practice non-resistance. I remember that what I resist persists, which is what happens to people who mourn loss all of their lives and never see the door standing wide open before them. Non-resistance is a choice that we must make, particularly when the ending is inevitable and there's no going back. It is really beyond our power to change. We have to stop resisting it. Number 4, forgiveness. This is a very important step. Forgiveness has little to do with the person, situation, or relationship that we lost, but it has everything to do with finding peace within to accept what has been done and then let it go, thus releasing the pain and sorrow. As my mother used to say to me, I know it hurts now, but the sun will come up tomorrow, little man. That was wise advice, and I always thought about that. Well, the sun will rise tomorrow, won't it? And I felt better. Nothing lasts forever unless you refuse to let it go. And that is, of course, your choice. I believe that many of us hold our grief and sorrow as our personal shrine or memorial to the lost love or lost way of life. We replay the facts over and over and thus harden the hurt, anger, and sorrow in our subjective or subconscious mind, where it acts as a poison that blights our life, our health, and our prosperity. Things lost need no headstone or memorial in your mind. Let the dead bury the dead. You're about living. And the last one, number 5, gratitude. Yes, it's hard to feel grateful for losing one's home, family, job, or way of life. However, you can certainly choose to be grateful for your strong will, your imagination, and your intellect. These are the God-given tools that we all possess and that you will use to build an even finer life and attract an even greater love. Gratitude is not only possible, it's essential. I describe it as the engine oil of the universe. It lubricates and facilitates all aspects of your life. Relationships, health, wealth, happiness, it's all about gratitude. Grateful people are usually healthy people, are often prosperous people, and they're happy people. Life without gratitude is like an endless walk in the desert with an empty canteen. I just made that up. I like that. Use these 5 steps during the next ending time in your life. These times come to all of us, and we bless them because without the passing of the old, we shall never experience the new. May the indwelling God be your constant and abiding friend and counselor, and may you have the wisdom to listen. Till next time, this is Reverend Ore saying bye-bye for now.